The way that we played basketball this year, the way that we trained was extremely intense.
I mean, it's a win-win. You're improving your performance by enhancing your recovery when using PSR, and you're adding extra years onto your career.
Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to the No Plan B podcast. That's the homie Rene. I'm OG Jumpin' Joe, aka Big Slim. And today's guest is Mr. Corbin. I love this dude's game. I love his motor. I love his court vision. And I really wish that I could dribble a basketball like that since I got broken handles. What's going on, Mr. Corbin? How you doing, dog?
What's going on, Joe? Thanks for having me. What's up, Rene? How you guys doing?
Man, it's our pleasure, bro. It's our pleasure. And yeah, man, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about how this all started, this whole pro basketball journey that you're on, man. And I want to really give you your roses now, man. I love sometimes when I'm just kicking back at the crib, sucking on cold beers, I always pull up your footage from the G League. And I'm telling you, man, I really love the way you played in that league, man. And I mean, I don't really want to go too deep because we would be talking all night about the NBA politics and the the BS that comes with it. But of course, it's a great league. I'm not going to hate on it. And just from the footage that I saw where you in the G League, man, I felt like, that you belonged. I feel like still you belong in that league if you get in the right situation. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't want to bash anybody and get too much into the politics. But I wanted to talk about how did this all start for you, man? Like, where did the love of basketball start and this whole journey? Where did it all begin?
Man, that's a loaded question. I think it kind of started from birth, honestly.
Nice.
I was born into a basketball family, from everyone, from my uncles, my cousins, and then obviously my dad played as well. So it was just kind of something that has always been around me. And I think I picked up the game really, really early, 3 years old, 4 years old. And then obviously as I got older, it was just something that I was always around. I was always in the gym, whether it be the gym that's around the corner from my grandmother's house or in the front yard at my house, or just, following my dad around, man. I was always in the gym or around the game. And I think that kind of is just how my love for it developed. And then once I got older and started to get pretty good at it, it just kind of developed into something that, I knew I wanted to do. So
That's great. So how was the did you play like the AAU? How did it all start for you when you were a shorty?
yeah, so I grew up in a few different places, but Columbia, South Carolina was always home. Ended up playing in youth leagues and doing the whole rec league thing, whether it be in the summer or
Nice.
the winter. Started out when I was, around six, and just progressed, and then turned into AAU when I probably did my first AAU year when I was 12, and where we actually did travel, where we traveled, to Georgia or North Carolina or Florida to play different teams. And, that's kind of when your competitive nature kind of takes over, because you realize that, you might be good in your state or in your city, but then you step outside of those lines and you realize there's a whole bunch of kids your age doing the exact same thing. So that's kind
Yeah.
of when I realized I had to continue to work and continue to get better. So that's where it started.
Nice. Awesome. How did the high school experience go? Did you have a good time?
Man, so high school was really dope for me. I ended up following my dad out to Utah. So I spent my 4 years in Salt Lake City, Utah, West High School, and it was big time for me. I ended
Nice.
up making varsity as a freshman. Did my thing. We ended up making the state tournament, but we lost in the first round. We, were kind of young, or I would say less experienced. We weren't really used to winning before I got there. And then when I got there, we kind of turned it around a little bit. But then my next year, my sophomore year, man, we ended up winning the state championship. We ended up beating uh, Provo High School, who had, Brandon Davies plays for Barcelona now.
Yeah.
Brandon was on the high school team that we ended up beating in my sophomore year of high school, and it was a huge game. It was a huge deal because they had won like 40 games in a row. They were unreal. Brandon was obviously an NBA player, 6'10", 6'11" at in high school. So he was unstoppable. And somehow we ended up winning. I had a really good game. And then from there, junior and senior year, it just kind of took over, man. I started getting college offers and, recognition from top AAU programs. I ended up playing for Compton Magic, which is a really well-known organization on the West Coast and in the country at this point. And, high school was just really important for me because it kind of let me know that my hard work was validated. It was working for me. So it's cool.
That's great, man. That's great. So let's fast forward. How did the college experience, how'd that all go? How'd that play out?
Man, college was different. College was kind of like I would call it a learning experience from all different angles, on the court, off the court, just socially, everything. But I would say my freshman year, we didn't have a good year. And I would say it was a learning experience because I realized that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And when you get to college, you might be 18, but you might be guarding a 22 or a 23-year-old. Everybody's grown now. And I think I realized I wasn't as good as I thought I was. I couldn't shoot the ball the way that I thought I could. And it was, like I said, it was a learning experience. And I took from that, after my freshman year, I took that I really need to get in the gym and continue to work and continue to develop into the player that I want to be. And I would say the rest of my college career, I kind of dedicated my time to really getting better. And I think it worked out for me.
Nice, bro. Nice. He's being humble. He's being real humble, ladies and gentlemen. This guy's a stud. He can ball. This dude can ball. Okay, now fast forward. Let's. You mentioned the G League, and you really, man, salute to you, bro, because you really played great in that league. And so now let's talk about the journey that you got going on now with the overseas thing. How's it going over there in Georgia?
Yeah, man. So I've played overseas in a couple of Montenegro, fresh out of college, which is a lower league. It's a tough league. It's entry level, but it's pretty good basketball. Every country in that region, whether it's Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, that's a tough region. They have a lot of physical play going on, and it was another learning experience for me. I continued to play and do my thing. Something that obviously happens overseas, but we just stopped getting paid. In the middle of the season, they just stopped paying us. And, I can remember my teammates saying, Ty, don't go to practice today until we figure this thing out. We want to get paid. The team was like maybe 3 months behind. And it just turned into us not getting paid. And ultimately, I wasn't used to that. And I think I was ultimately, I just wanted to get paid for what I was doing. I wanted to, I guess, grow in my role. And I ended up leaving. My agent got me another situation. I ended up going all the way to Mongolia, which was completely unorthodox.
Wow.
But again, it was something that I wanted to do. I just wanted to play. I wanted to play and get paid.
Exactly.
So Mongolia ended up tripling what I was making in my Montenegro, and it was a good experience for me. We went to the finals and did what we had to do there. It was a really good league as far as competition at the time. Guys like Chris Jones, that's EuroLeague. He was a guard that I went up against in Mongolia. So a couple of NBA guys that were there just at the end of their career. And it was a good league. I can't speak for it now. I don't know what's going on now, and I know it's not necessarily a resume builder or what they call it in overseas terms, but it was a good league and I had a good time. But once I got home from there, I got my first NBA workout. Worked out with the Utah Jazz at a mini camp during the summer, and again, it was another confirmation that, my hard work was paying off. I had a really good showing at the camp. Got a lot of really good feedback from, the GM, the coaching staff, and everybody around. And that was good for me. Just as an athlete, it's always good to know that what you're doing is working for you.
For sure.
And ultimately, they ended up drafting like 2 guards, so I didn't get a summer league spot like I thought I would. But that's just kind of the way it works. That's the business, and you just keep pushing. And then I ended up, getting a G League look. No, I'm sorry. I did summer league with the Charlotte Hornets, and I got on with them. Had a really good showing in summer league that summer. Did what I had to do. Played against a lot of really good guys on my team in practice and in the competition for summer league. I had some really good games there, and that kind of turned into me going to the G League for 2 years. And where did I go after that? I did Canada, the CEBL, which is another really good league, up and coming league. I know you guys have seen a lot of the 10-day call-ups that have happened.
For sure.
Recently, we've had in the CEBL, I think there's like 4 or 5 guys that have gotten call-ups in the last week or so. So I think that league is really up and coming, and they'll continue to build it in a way that, Canada basketball be put on the map. And then after that, I had to kind of rebuild my European resume, I guess you would say. And now I'm out here in the country of Georgia.
Nice.
Which is a solid situation for me, for where I can play my game and showcase what I can do, and having a pretty good season so far. So just trying to keep it going.
Man, it's a beautiful thing, man. I always say the same thing. To keep it real, bro, congratulations, man, because you didn't give up. It's easy to tap out when you go through adversity, but you getting paid to do what you love to do, and so it's a great thing. Jump in there, Rene. Jump in there, babe.
Yeah, and just before our interview, I checked I checked the stats, and you are like on a winning streak at the moment. And I also saw like in Georgia, those games are like almost NBA schedule type. Like you have multiple games during 1 week. Is it always like that, and basically how is basketball in Georgia? Like what's the difference between here and other countries you've played in?
Ooh. I would say Georgian basketball is actually really, really developed. They love basketball in this country. I know that you guys might be familiar with it or not, but Shingela that plays for Cheska, he's Georgian. A lot of the guys that are on the Georgian national team are either in the NBA or they're high level Europe. I think there's 4 Georgians in the NBA right now. And they're all big men. They're really doing their thing. And then Zaza Pachulia, who's probably the most famous Georgian.
For sure.
He's done a lot for Georgian basketball. He has a whole academy here. He has a whole, facility where you can get in the gym and practice. And they have, I've seen a ton of kids in different gyms, like huge groups of kids, like trying to play ball. And, obviously I say all that to say that, once they get to the pro ranks, these guys can play, man. Like I've had a really good time playing here against some guys that they really have game. And as far as the schedule goes, yeah, we've played multiple times in a week. Sometimes it's usually at the end of the week, but this past week we had a game on Wednesday. And it's demanding, but it's been fun. So
nice. Let me put this out there, Rene. Back in the days when I played at Pepperdine, we actually played against Ty's father's squad, DePaul, and I learned a valuable lesson that day because we got our ass smacked, and I was like a deer in headlights, and so I'm sitting on the bench watching his dad run around just destroying us, and everyone knew he was on his way to the NBA. And of course, Jumpin' Joe Asberry got in the game, tried to dunk on somebody, and garbage time, got fouled, shot 2 free throws, missed one, scored 1 point. And I realized at that moment, like, hey, there's real levels to this. Like, to watch your pops play in his prime, how great he was, and to know that I wanted to be something like that, I really figured it out that I really have to work on my game. So what advice would you give to that young guy who's in South Carolina right now, or the young guy who's in Salt Lake City who is dreaming about doing what you do, getting paid to play basketball? What advice would you give that young guy? And I'm gonna let all the young guys know there's levels, man. Don't think that you're as great as you know what I mean? Don't let your mouth write checks that your bottom part can't cash.
Mm-hmm. I would say, you know, there's a couple of parts to it, but for one, I would say be all in it. And what I mean by that is, you know, we live in a society now where, you know, there's so many distractions, and everybody's on social media, and everybody's like looking at what the next person is doing, and
Right.
they might have different opinions being thrown at them at all times. Like, you can't do this, or you're not this, or you might be listening to outside voices that are telling you what you can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So for a young kid, I would say not to listen to what everybody else is saying, and to be all in it, and to really, really work on it, and really be dedicated to your work. Because, you know, obviously it's cool to have, you know, your plan B and plan C if it doesn't work out, but at a young age, you really shouldn't be worried about the plan B and plan C. Like, obviously,
Right.
get your grades and do all the right things. But if you really feel like you can play basketball, work on that tirelessly until you are good enough to where everybody agrees with you. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
for me, I would say that is probably the biggest component, because once you get good enough, or your work catches up to how you feel in your mind, everything else will take care of itself. But if you're listening to other people tell you that you can't do something, or that you're not that good, or you're not going to be able to make it to the NBA, or whatever it may be, and trying to shoot your dreams down, then you start to think about that, and that kind of messes up your path, instead of just really staying focused on what you want to do and make it happen, man. I tell all my young people that I talk to just kill. If you
Right.
kill,
That's right.
everything else will take care of itself, and it doesn't matter what anybody else is saying. If your numbers match up and your film matches up, you can do whatever you need to do to succeed. So that's what I would say.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, I try to explain that to people, man. Like, I tell people, listen, man, if you really continue to work on your game and you have a pro basketball skill set, you know, people are going to come and, you know, they'll discover you. They're going to come and get you. You know what I mean? The amount of time that you spend telling the world about how great you are, there's, like I said, there's levels. You said it yourself. I said it myself. You know, coming out of high school, I mean, I thought I could just, you know, dunk on anybody moving. Like, I really believed that in my heart. But like I said, and then when I saw somebody who was like I said, like with your father, he was, you know, bigger than, you know, I'm 6'5". He was taller. He was more athletic and more skilled, you know. So when you see these things and you say to yourself, like, okay, you know what? I got a lot of work to do, man, for real. So yeah, so thanks for sharing that with us. I mean, and Rene, jump back in there, because I know you have some great questions about the outside of basketball questions.
Outside of basketball, yeah, I mean, that's also interesting to ask someone who has been to so many different countries playing basketball, and you see a lot of time you spend off the court when you are in some case in, like right now in Georgia. And when young players who probably also have the dream of playing basketball overseas, they sometimes might forget about that part. And it's a big mental challenge as well to get into a country where probably people are not as good in English sometimes, and where you might face different cultures. And probably from your story, from your whole journey, what was probably tell us one difficult experience for yourself, and probably something you really enjoyed where you thought of, well, that's actually a great thing that I discovered that.
Yeah, that's easy for me because I would just say Montenegro. It was my first job out of college. I went to college in California. I went to Bakersfield, Cal State Bakersfield. So I was an hour 15 from LA. I say all that to say I was used to being around a lot of people. I was used to having fun and being around people that look like me, and
Right.
just enjoying life. And then you get to Montenegro, where I was probably the only American in my town. It wasn't even a city, it was a town. My coach didn't speak English. I had maybe 1.5 teammates that spoke English. So I didn't have an apartment. I stayed in a hotel room. It was a really nice hotel, but I didn't have an apartment. It was just a hotel room. I walked downstairs to the restaurant. I would get my 3 meals and I would walk to practice. But I would say it was really difficult for me because I was used to being around people. So I spent my birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's in a hotel room by myself, watching basketball or watching movies or just talking to the family. So that was just a shock for me because I'm going from one extreme to the next. So that was difficult for me coming out of college. But
it was some type of isolation, right? Like you were kind of somehow. It's not like you were outside in the forest all alone, but still, you spend a lot more time with yourself, and you think your brain starts thinking about things that you sometimes don't want to think about. And being alone is a challenge nowadays, especially if you're used to being around people all the time. Seriously, that's harder than you think. And people who want to go there, who want to go to Montenegro or even to Germany or whatever, they have to think about that too. They have to consider that this might be a problem for you, and you have to deal with that, and you have to be mentally prepared for that.
Exactly.
I try to tell guys all the time, like, not every basketball job in Europe is going to be great as soon as you cross the water. You might get an entry level position where you're trying to prove yourself, and you're in a situation where you were like me. You were in a town. It wasn't a city. It was literally a town, and it was small, and you're going to be by yourself. You might have an American teammate. You might not. You might have a coach that speaks English. You might not. And that's tough for some guys, because some guys aren't mentally strong enough to understand the big picture. They might just think like right now, like, I can't do this, so they tap out and they get sent home. For me, I was so locked in on what I was trying to accomplish that it was difficult, but it wasn't to the point where I wanted to go home. It was just like, all right, I'm gonna get through this one way or another. Just keep playing ball, keep going to practice, keep working hard, keep getting better.
Yeah, nice.
Something good is gonna come from it. So that's that was the approach I took from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, which country? And the other part of the question: which country would you say that? Where you say, okay, hey, you know what? This is pretty cool. I mean, I like being overseas, and this is an awesome experience.
And probably somewhere where you wouldn't have expected before, and that's also a good thing.
That's perfect, because it's here to Tbilisi, Georgia. I didn't really know much about the country. I randomly met Zaza Pachulia a couple summers ago doing this basketball internship with the NBA. So I met Zaza there, and he kind of talked about his country a little bit, but I didn't really. You don't think about the country of Georgia at all, but then this opportunity comes up, and I get here, man, and this city is amazing to me. It's nice. Huge. It's nice. There's a lot of diversity here that you wouldn't think would be here. And I'm in a good living situation. I can't complain about that. My money's on time. Like socially, I can go out and talk to people who speak English. So I've had fun. I like Georgia a lot.
Man, that is beautiful,
That's
bro.
nice.
It's really beautiful. And man, you know what? Thanks for joining us, man. We've been having some technical difficulties on my end. I apologize because I've been wanting to bring you on for a long time. But I've been busy. You've been busy. Renee's been a little bit busy. So really glad that you came on, man. And I'll tell you what, bro. At the end of the day, man, like I said, I just think that as long as you stay on your course, and you're gonna, the league you're playing in now it's a great league, and it's a legitimate pro basketball league. And I just see nothing but bright things in your future, bro. Love your game and love that you're humble. He's being humble, ladies and gentlemen, because trust me, this dude, he cooks people. He can cook. He had 21 in the last game. He didn't say that. He's over there in Georgia. He's over there chefing people.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. Thanks for having me, man.
I have one more question about the Mongolia thing. It's just because like I know the country being super, it's like huge, but I think it's the least populated in terms of people per square kilometer area. And like the Ulaanbaatar is like the capital. Are there teams outside of the city, or is everything in that city in the league?
No, so everything is in Ulaanbaatar.
Okay.
I can't remember how many teams were in the league. Maybe 10 12 teams.
But it's all in the city, right?
Yeah, we split time with two different gyms. So we played most of our games in one arena or another arena. But it was all in Ulaanbaatar.
Because like from what I know, there are like only a few villages outside with probably a couple of thousand people. It would have been weird to go on a road trip like 3,000 kilometers outside or whatever, like a huge country. But it's all like in that it's just something that I had in my mind I wanted to ask because I never heard anything about, and I'm sure most people never heard anything from Mongolian basketball. So that might be a story in itself that we cannot cover like at this point, but it's very interesting for me.
Yeah, it's you guys can. I have my highlight tape on YouTube from Mongolia. Please go check it out and just look.
Oh, for sure.
Forget about me. Just look at how many people were at the games. Like they love basketball in Mongolia. It was so random. It was a lot of fun. I love it. I love it.
We should probably do a whole episode where I just talk about Mongolia. I'm sure you have a lot of stories to tell from there.
Definitely.
But that's for another day.
For sure. Yeah, man, you're more than welcome to come back on for a part 2 when you get some time, bro. Not a problem.
Sure. You guys let me know. I'm as available as I can be. Just set it up and I'll be around.
Awesome. Then we look forward to it, people. We look forward to Mongolian basketball and Ty cooking fools. Ty over there. Listen, Ty cooking fools in a hostile environment.
Very hostile. Very, very, very.
All right, my guy.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Thanks.